Afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I am your host, Armando Venditti. And the idea for this episode, or for these next two episodes, came to me last night as I was watching TV. And I'm going to be titling these two episodes Album versus Album. I'm going to be looking at two artists that released an album and their sequel. And I'm going to be discussing whether or not the sequels were better than the originals or vice versa. Now, there are two of them. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about Alice Cooper. And the album that I'm going to be talking about is that's right, Welcome to My Nightmare, released March 11th, 1975 on Atlantic Records in the US and Canada, and released on Anchor Records in the rest of the world. Anchor was a subsidiary of ABC Records. So the inspiration for Welcome to My Nightmare was done after it came after he did a TV special for ABC called The Nightmare. Now, the premise of Welcome to My Nightmare is about it's about a boy named Stephen, and Stephen basically has dreams and very vivid Technicolor, very disturbing dreams, and the more he dreams, the more difficulty he finds to wake up. So the album explores that. In the special, Vincent Price plays the character of the curator of the dreams. So basically, and he tells Stephen in his dreams, I can give you whatever you want as long as you sell me your soul. Of course, Stephen says no. But again, the more he dreams, the more difficult he finds it is to wake up. So, but getting back to the album itself, Welcome to My Nightmare was produced by Bob Ezrin, who produced the majority of the Alice Cooper Band albums up to that point. The inspiration for him going solo was that the band released Muscle of Love, and it didn't sell as well as the predecessors did, Billion Dollar Babies, School's Out, Killer. And they wanted to go solo. They also were getting a little fed up with Alice Cooper's onstage theatrics and what they considered to be or perceived to be Bob Ezrin's interference in the song arrangements, etc. Again, everybody went their own way. The band members from Alice Cooper's band went on to form a band called Billion Dollar Babies. They released, I believe, one album that didn't sell as well, and they all went on to do other things. As I said, it was released through Atlantic Records, through a special arrangement with Warner Brothers Records. The album itself is a mix of hard rock, ballads, and cabaret. I mean, cabaret being some folks, hard rock being the title track, which some people described it as having a disco tinge flavor to it. I call it more of a modern jazz take with the horns on it, etc. Hard rock tracks being, Devil's Food, The Black Widow, which is fantastic. Cold Ethel, you know, um, nothing wrong with a little necromancy, or things of that nature. We won't go there. What else was on the album? Escape, The Awakening. There's a track on there called Years Ago, which is in 3/4 time, and it's sung through the character of Stephen as a little boy, and 3/4 time is waltz time. So you have a mix, a myriad of musical styles. The three singles released from the album were title track, Only Women Bleed, and Department of Youth. The musicians on the album were just to name a couple. Dick Wagner on guitars, who also played on Kiss Destroyer, and Steve Hunter, um, also on guitar. The backing band played with Lou Reed during his Berlin period. So what Cooper and Ezrin did, they basically plucked the backing band from Lou Reed's group and just used them on his record. The album is great. It's a classic. When it was released, it got mixed reviews, but it's gone on to be revered as one of his best. And he still performs tracks from the album to this day, with, I believe, the exception of some folks. Go figure. Does this album work throughout as a concept album? That's what we're here to discuss. We're moving on to the sequel. Released on September 13th, 2011, also called Welcome to My Nightmare. Obviously, if you've seen the album, you know that the 2 in Welcome to is replaced by the number 2. So that's pretty much the only difference with the album title. Released through Universal Music, produced again by Bob Ezrin. The singles on there were only 2 singles, not only 2, but 2 singles. I'll Bet Your Face Off and Caffeine. The musicians on there playing are Michael Bruce, Neil Smith, Dennis Dunaway, Dick Wagner, Vince Gill, who plays lead guitar, beautifully on 2 tracks. Rob Zombie, also Kesha, had co-lead vocals on a track called What Baby Wants. And she's credited with songwriting on that. And basically, you have the bulk of the classic Alice Cooper band that are contributing to this album, and Dick Wagner's back. This album, it's more of a hard rock sound throughout the entire album. It's much more darker, more guttural, more bottom end in terms of rhythm guitar, just more more sinister with regards to the playing, the subject matter. There's a track on here called When Hell Comes Home, and it talks about how the character Stephen is going to basically kill his father because his father's been abusive to him and his mother, and he's sort of planning it for when he comes home. So the subject matter is very dark. There's one track on here with the lyric that is sung by a choir. And the lyric goes, "What part of dead don't you get?" To which the main character is like, "Excuse me?" Like, hello? And all they keep saying is, "What part of dead don't you get?" So in his mind, he's still able to wake up. But they obviously know better than he does. And basically, for me, the subject matter of the 2 albums is, what would happen if you couldn't wake up from your dream? If you were stuck in limbo, or worse, if you were to die in your dream. And forgive me, spoiler alert, but it turns out that the character, Stephen, ends up dying at the end of the album. Okay. Does the sequel, Welcome to My Nightmare, work better than the original? In my opinion, it does. Don't get me wrong. I love eclectic music. I love artists that do different styles of music on one album. But in my opinion, part two of Welcome to My Nightmare, the sequel, works a lot better. And it's a lot more emotional, a lot more scary, and it's an overall classic of an album. It didn't do as well as its predecessor. I believe Welcome to My Nightmare, the original, reached number 5 in the U.S. charts. I believe that Welcome to My Nightmare, the sequel, was in the top 30 in the US and it reached 25 in Canada on the Canadian charts. So it didn't do as well in terms of sales wise. But to me, I don't give a shit. I love this album. I love it for its nastiness, for its directness, for its, I guess you'd say, morbid quality. Because as we all know, in life, bad stuff happens to good people or to people in general all the time. And it begs the question, what would you do if you could not get out of a situation, example, your dreams, and come back to the life that you knew? So anyway, that is my choice for this episode. Please leave your comments below and let me know what you think. Do you like the original? Do you like the sequel? Do you not care? Just let me know what you think. And let's go from there. And yeah, again, hopefully you liked this episode. I'm gonna be doing another one to be aired the day after this one airs. So click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're kept on top of all the shows that I'm going to be putting up. I'm going to be putting up, I think, about another 4 for next week. So again, I hope you guys have a great day and take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.